And in a moment, Gorman Thomas coming up. With the bases loaded in a 5-5 tie. 4 unearned runs for the Brewers. They'll take them.
Time for game 3. Shortstop wizard Ozzie Smith ready to try his hand on real grass. And flamboyant Joaquin Andujar looking for his 9th straight win, ready to strut his stuff. Overpowering stuff. But equally tough was Pete Vukovich, at least until a scoreless 5th when Cardinal rookie Willie McGee, whom Whitey Herzog discovered somewhat accidentally, stepped up with 2 aboard. Oh my, a 3-run blast for McGee, who homered only 4 times in the regular season, but now including 1 homer against the Braves in the championship series, had 2 in postseason play. Then in the 7th, McGee made it 3. Only 2 other rookies, Charlie Keller and Tony Kubek, ever hit 2 homers in 1 series game. A 5-0 cushion looked comfortable for Andujar, who'd allowed but 2 hits. But then with Ted Simmons up in the bottom of the 7th, a most uncomfortable turn of events. The pain etched so graphically on Andujar's face had the Cardinals fearing the worst. Could it mean that Simmons' base hit had shattered the kneecap of their pitching ace? Fortunately, X-rays would prove negative, but the man who had carried the Cardinals so brilliantly in the stretch had to be carried off by the Cardinals in Game 3. As a result, relief star Bruce Sutter had to be used and almost abused, allowing 2 in the 8th before Gorman Thomas threatened more with a man on in the 9th. Incredible! Had this ball gone out, it would have been 6-4. Instead, it was instant replays and praises for Willie McGee. The Cardinals' man of the hour proved he could hit homers and prevent homers. And so thanks to Mr. McGee, the Brewer uprising was put in check as the Cardinals pocket a 6-2 victory and go up 2-1. Looking back and picking up on a couple of incidents of incidental meaning to Game 3, but for those would-be arbiters of the game of baseball, possibly more interest. George Hendrick batting in the 2nd. Fair or foul? Safe or out? Simple. Well, not exactly. This one takes a keen eye. And also a little discussion from the Blue Crew.
I don't know what he was safe. He was off the bag. The guy's staying there.
The result? A Milwaukee brouhaha.
Wait a minute. I'm hurt.
Look, the guy was going to be safe.
First ball was foul. Then
he went up and turned the ball, went right over the bag.
See what this coming off. He was out. He's out.
Came off the bag.
Oh, no. How do you know? How do you know? You're calling time you didn't call.
To review, for those who thought the ball foul, it was fair. But there is confusion. Is the play dead? Well, now, if it's not dead, did the first baseman have his foot on the bag?
No. Think about it. He did come off the bag.
Oh, wait a minute.
Harvey Keene has his say. What about Cecil Cooper? He was there.
Were you off the bag? Were you off the bag?
I don't know if I was off the bag or not. But he said foul ball over there. He went. I don't know if I was off the bag or not. I can't say. It was that blazing speed that did it, I tell you.
Hey, George, I know better than that.
Even silent George Hendrick had his say. In the 9th inning, another profusion of confusion. George Hendrick races for home, but again, his blazing speed is cause for question.
that call?
He called fair interference.
Didn't it go out into the park? I didn't see what happened.
Out of the park?
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
You want me to check?
Yeah, check it.
Derek! That ball go out of the park? No. Interference. The guy touched the ball. Interference. But you don't know. He reached down. Don't need to score. The Chargers are third base. It doesn't have to now, Whitey, and he's only going to third now when they call.
He's going to score.
I don't think he would have.
Oh, hell, we were going to send him. He made it easy.
It all goes to prove that judgment is in the eye of the beholder. But enough of this protraction. Back to the action and game 4.
Wonderful sunny 50-degree day, County Stadium in Milwaukee. Game 4 of the series. St. Louis Cardinals leading 2-1. I'm Dick Denver. Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek are featured in some 650 individual shots that you're about to see in 1 minute and 40 seconds. This is the history of baseball in this century and the United States for that matter. See if you can pick out Joe and Tony. You'll see more each time. Our 1982 additions to that historical montage: Caldwell's cool shutout, Suter's sinker ball, and Andujar's agony. And we're set for game 4. The Brewers need a win to even the series at 2 games apiece. The Cardinals trying to move up 3-1 on the home turf of the Brewers. And for the play-by-play, let's go upstairs. Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek.
Okay, Dick, thank you very much. Tony, I think the word for me anyhow today is mood. The Cardinal bench, they figure out we're winning without our big guys, Henrik and Hernandez, so we really are going to break loose. The Milwaukee club, I'm amazed at how cool they are because, hey, we've been here before. We did it with Baltimore. We did it with California. And Gorman Thomas says, yeah, we're in the same boat. Sometimes it's a PT boat and sometimes it's a love boat. And we win today, we're at square one. So they're both ready.
You know, the thing that appeals to me about World Series play year after year, we're only in game 4. We knew what Shooter's going to do sooner or later. We knew about Cooper, but it's a time of year when local heroes emerge as national celebrities. Willie McGee last night, the Cardinal fans sure knew about him. Dave LaPoint today, the left-hander for the Cardinals, pitched his first major league game for the Brewers off this mound. He'll be going against the Brewers. Moose Haas didn't have a start for 1 month. Didn't pitch in September for 15 days. And yet, he pitches no-hit baseball against the Cardinals into the 6th inning. And what might happen today?
So we're going to see. It should be a big afternoon. Right now, let's go to Bob Betts for the national anthem.
And now, would you please rise as we honor America with our national anthem, which this afternoon will be sung by the Wisconsin Singers from the University of Wisconsin at Madison.
Just a perfect afternoon for baseball. The crowd's ready, the players are ready, and we'll be back with Game 4 right after this.
Here's your chance to get the official 1982 World Series program, a collector's item commemorating the 79th Fall Classic. Send check or money order for $4 to World Series program, Post Office Box 9800T, St. Paul, Minnesota 55198. Please make checks payable to World Series program. That's World Series program, Box 9800T, St. Paul, Minnesota. Allow 8 weeks for delivery. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Beautiful afternoon for baseball. County Stadium, Game 4, the Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers. The ceremonial first pitch today for all of us in baseball takes on greater significance. Take a good look at those youngsters. In the last year, baseball has lost 5 prominent umpires, or former umpires. Art Passarella, Bob Stewart, John Stevens, Nestor Shylock, and Lou DeMuro, the American League umpire who was struck by a car and killed during the summer. And in honor of these 5 men, and all in their profession, the DeMuro's 4 sons, and you saw them, Ray, Michael, Skip, and Greg, accompanied by their mother, Sue DeMuro, threw out the first ball. 2-year-old Kristen DeMuro was just a bit too young to make the trip from Tucson. So, with the backdrop of the official ball, the batting order for the St. Louis Cardinals, Tommy Herr leads off. He's playing at second base. Batting second, it's Ken Oberkfell. He'll be at third base. Keith Hernandez looking for his first base hit in his World Series. Bats third. George Hendrick, the cleanup man, he only has 1 hit. He's playing right field. Darrell Porter behind the plate. Lonnie Smith, who found his batting eye last night, will be in left field. Dean Orge is the designated hitter. Willie McGee, who had quite a night last night, is in center field. And Ozzie Smith bats ninth. He is the shortstop. And there is the entire lineup. So if you're keeping score, there they are.
Brewers' defense has been constant, as it has been most of the year. And Ogilvy, Norman Thomas, Charlie Moore, left to right. The infield, Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Jim Gantner, Cecil Cooper. Ted Simmons behind the plate, and Moose Haas, the pitcher.
Moose Haas, who was 11-8, a 4.47 earned run average in 1982. He averages 4.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. And very, very tight as far as giving up a base on balls. Walks an average of only 1.8 per 9 innings.
He had a good fastball against the Angels in the League Championship Series as we look at the stats. He throws like Suter, a split-fingered fastball, but not as effectively. Nobody does that. Had an excellent slider. He's become a better pitcher since he lost that good curveball he had.
Here's the first pitch of Game 4. It is a strike. Moose Haas. If you're wondering his first name, full name, Brian Edmund Haas, against Tommy Herr. One strike the count. It's strike 2. Haas was born in Baltimore, Maryland, lives in Hempstead, Maryland. He's 6 foot, 170 pounds.
And Joe, the background in day baseball here becomes a little bit of a problem for some hitters. I know the California Angels hitters against Sutton and Haas, when they pitched day games against them here in the League Championship Series, the pitcher throws out of the sky up above the top of the head of that pitcher, and it is tough to see.
There's a strike. He got him. The plate umpire is Davey Phillips, and Moose Haas, 3 pitches, 1 out. Temperature at game time, 47 degrees, but in the sun, a bright sun, it sure seems warmer. Winds 12 miles per hour coming from the northwest.
Northwest here, it's kind of shifting, and sometimes it'll gust out to right field, and it'll swirl around when it hits the stand and go out dead center field. Right now, it's going to right.
Here's Ken Oberkfell. All on, just missed. There you see the flag.
We're seeing here today, Joe, the typical Wisconsin crisp, cool fall day. It is just beautiful.
Came right from the Tourist Bureau.
You betcha, that's a commercial for my state.
Going to have equal time for Arizona. Fouled out of play. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Obergefell, no home runs. 1 run batted in. He's 3 for 10. He did an even 300. And there you see him. 26 years old.
Haas during the pennant stretch was like a forgotten man. Of course, part of the reason is when they got Sutton, he went 5-1 late in the season. Haas didn't pitch.
Hot smash, fair ball, down the line. Looks like extra bases for Obergefell. He's heading for second. Up with the ball is Moore, and it's a double.
So like yesterday, it is so important for this Cardinal ball club to be able to use their speed throughout this series to get a run early. Keep the Brewers from scoring, especially to try and turn this hometown crowd off. You see it, although it bounces in foul territory past the bag, when it crossed the bag, and Satch Davidson, it was a fair ball.
There was no fan interference. It was a straight double. And now it's Keith Hernandez, who's looking for his first base hit. Hit the ball hard last night, but Robin Yount, you hit anything towards Robin Yount, you're in deep trouble. Fastball misses, ball 1. Hernandez, the third and fourth place hitter, and Henrik, 1 for 20. There's Obergefell at second base.
Looks like Hernandez has moved off the plate a little bit. Maybe he feels they're pitching him inside out. He's off at least 6 inches to a foot over what we've seen the first 3 games in that series. And we talked a while back, the late Kenny Boyer took over as manager and told the young Hernandez, these pitchers, the right-handers, are getting you out with sliders inside. They keep jamming you, you're tying yourself up, and Kenny Boyer had to move off the plate. And many times the hitter might creep up unconsciously, but today he looks like he's farther off. He's made an adjustment. That's why he's such a good hitter.
Outside. 3 balls and no strikes. First base is open. Gave him the green light on 3-0, trying to get him started. The on-deck batter is George Hendrick. Didn't get it. And it's a full count of 3-2. Struck him out.
He just handcuffed Hernandez inside. Tough pitch. Let's watch it. Fastball, it comes back. Inside part of the plate. It looked farther inside than it really was to me.
So there are 2 away, and here is George Hendrick. Hendrick, no home runs. Hasn't driven in a run. He's 1 for 9. That back foot of his almost out of the box. Deep in the batter's box. Fouled out of play and it's strike 1.
The day that Moose Haas pitched against the Angels, they went into the 6th with a no-hitter. Many said it was the best fastball and slider they'd ever seen him have. He's been one of the bright pitching prospects in this organization for a long time. Then came up with torn muscle in his bicep. Took him a couple years to recover from that. They were talking about surgery at one time.
You would think you'd be able to pitch Hendrick on the outside part of the plate. Doesn't look like he's covering it. We'll see. He's going for it. He got it.
George Hendrick stands off the plate, stands deep in the box. How similar to Amos Otis. You say he's out. He's got part of the foot in the batter's box. The line is still not wiped away. I think when that line's away about the 7th or 9th, he'll be about a foot farther back.
What a lot of them do, and you watch and you try to agitate them, they'll start like that, and then when they get ready, they'll just move the heel out of the box. 2 strikes to count. Crowd reacting. They're ready. They want to tie this series up. Robin Yount.
Whoa.
Tough play. Here comes Obergefell. He's going to come around and score, and the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead on a high hopper. A tough play for Robin Yount. It'll go as an infield hit. Cardinals get a break.
In yesterday's ball game, the Brewers had 3 errors. Might have cost them 3 or 4 runs. Right now, Robin's caught in the middle. He knows if he waits back for the second big hop, Hendricks will beat it out. He gets it on the in-between hop. Didn't get in front of it to smother it, and the run scored. Just given a base hit. That short hop is somewhat of an easy one, but when you get that in-between one, especially on the dirt and grass, it never bounces the same.
That's what that was in between. Here is Darrell Porter, 4 for 11 in this series.
You know, Joe, if he doesn't deflect that ball, Gantner probably gets it and the run doesn't score. But just by deflecting it a little bit, costs him a run.
Well, Harvey Keene, who has become quite a philosopher, I think, Harvey says he takes that cliche of a game of inches. He said sometimes the inches go your way and sometimes they go for the other club. This time the inches were on the side of the Cardinals. The deflection cost the run. It's 1-0. 2 balls and no strikes. Last night, Hendrick tried to steal, and Simmons gunned him down. He's holding. Little looper. It's a base hit. Hendrick rounding second. He'll hold on. All players will call that a polite hit. That ball just landed so softly it didn't bend the grass.
That may have been the first split-fingered fastball he's thrown. When he pitched against the Angels, Ted Simmons never called one split-fingered fastball because the fastball and slider was so good. He went to a little bit earlier, maybe show this Cardinal team some off-speed stuff.
So the Cardinals, with 2 outs and a run in, have Hendrick on at second base. Darrell Porter is on at first base, and here is Lonnie Smith, who is 2 for 11. He had those 2 base hits last night. Double in the 5th. Scored on Willie McGee's home run. Then he had a triple in the 7th, and when the throw went into the dugout, the relay throw, Smith came in to score.
Joe, isn't it something how quickly a 1 run will calm a hometown crowd down? They become quiet after coming out very loud in the player introduction.
Strike 1. Well, the way it was made, too. Foot, if he doesn't deflect it, if it's a foot closer to Young, he makes the play. You wonder if that snake is out there. Talk about being snake bit. Third base, Molitor has it, steps on the bag. The force is on Hendrick coming down from second, so we complete the top half of the first inning, and the Cardinals pick up a run, so it's 1-0. St. Louis, Milwaukee coming to bat.
With the left-hander starting, Harvey Keene has not juggled his lineup much. Pretty much the same. Paul Molitor will lead it off at third base. Robin Yount at shortstop batting second. In the 3 spot, Cecil Cooper, the first baseman. Cleanup, switch hitting Ted Simmons, the catcher. Now a little change. He's moved Gorman Thomas up a notch, the center fielder, and then dropped Ben Ogilvie, the left fielder, into the number 6 hole. Batting seventh, the designated hitter Don Money, the right-hander against the left-handed pitcher. Then it's Charlie Moore, the right fielder, and batting ninth, Jim Gantner, the second baseman.
There you see the lineup, and the Cardinals will be very much aware of this first pitch to Molitor, because Molitor wants to get something started on the heels of the Cardinals picking up that run in the top half of the first inning. He's a good first ball, fastball hitter, and he'd like to just get it started, light the fire.
On the mound, LaPoint, the former Brewer, a great straight changeup. Fastball moves away, hard slider.
First pitch, swings right at the third baseman, Oberkfell. He's got him. So there's one away, and here is Robin Yount. Molitor was 7 for 15, 7 for 16 now. He has the highest batting average in the series so far. Yount is 5 for 13, a 384 average. Usually when that first hitter jumps on the first pitch, it forces the next guy to take the first pitch. So you call for a fastball. He missed. Ball 1.
That's the tailing fastball that LaPoint throws so well. His pitching coach, Huff Kittle, thinks it moves better when it's down.
2-0. 3 balls and no strikes. He's only 27 years old.
9 years in the big leagues. Played just 64 minor league games, as did Molitor. He played just 64 games in the minor leagues.
Robin Yount is the Brewers' all-time club leader in hits, doubles, triples, and at-bats. Won't be long, he'll be leading the way to the bank, too. He is some foul ball.
See, he had 1,000 base hits quicker than anybody in the history of baseball.
If there's a young guy that you say is going to the Hall of Fame.
He is just beginning. You know, most guys, when they're 27 and have 9 years in the big leagues, they're starting on the downswing. He is still reaching his peak or shooting for it with 9 years experience.
Tough play for Oberkfell. He's got a bare hand play. Can't make it. Young is on. Listen to the crowd. Coop, coop.
Oberkfell has had 2 different plays in a row, playing up for mouth, a sharply hit ground ball, then he gets a change of pace, a topped one, so rhythm can be upset a little.
He had only one hope, the barehanded stab and throw all in one motion. Even if he had made it cleanly, Yount with his speed had it beaten at first base.
And that's one of those hits where on artificial surface it's not a base hit because it gets to him a little quickly. It doesn't bounce off to the side and upset his timing. Game changes from the first 2 games to the next 3 here.
Cecil Cooper, 4 for 13 in this series. Takes it high, ball 1. Cooper is a low ball pitcher, a low ball hitter. LaPoint is a low ball pitcher. Porter wants to talk to him. And this fella, I think, is one of the most underrated, underpublicized players in baseball.
Well, when he
always
hit,
had good
when he hit
stats.
352, it was the year that George Brett almost hit 400, ended up at 390. So he's always overshadowed.
He's only
This
hit
year by
300
Yount.
6 straight years. He's write it right in for Cecil Cooper. It'll be in the biography, another 300 season.
You can also write in over 100 RBIs. The last 4 years, he's averaged 102 RBIs.
Be interesting to see if Harvey Keene, even with a left-hander up, down by 1, tries to become aggressive and maybe start Yount. I'm not saying he should, but he's got to do something to stir this team up.
Outside, 2 balls and no strikes. He didn't get it. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now it's an early key situation. Do you run your man at first base? If you get a base hit, you got him on at third. Extra base hit, he scores easily. But if Cooper strikes out, percentage against him to go to second.
I'll tell you, I would run him out 53 times.
He's running for
almost
me.
700 plate appearances.
There he goes, and there's a double play. Line drive right at him. That's the gamble you take. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. A base hit, he's at third base, but it was right at him. A good call by Harvey Keene, just didn't work out. So at the end of 1, it's the Cardinals 1, Milwaukee nothing. So we go to the top half of the second inning. Dane Orge will lead it off. First pitch by Haas. Outside, ball 1. If you're wondering about Andujar, he's in the ballpark. He stayed at the hotel last night. He's signing baseballs. They're working on his leg. He suffered a contusion of the bone, to the bone, just below his right knee.
And I know what he did last night when he got back from the hospital. He put on something that the Latin players use. It's called aceta de calibra, snake oil. Rubbed it in there. Some say there might be some mystical powers. It was home remedy.
2 balls and no strikes. Fastball gets it. 2 balls and 1 strike. Straight up the middle. Gorman Thomas is there, makes the play. There's 1 out, and here is Willie McGee, who had 2 big home runs. How will the crowd react? Well, he hurt the Brewers last night. I tell you, he made 2 catches. 1 off Molitor, seemed pretty routine, and then he took a home run away from Gorman Thomas. Well hit, way back. Listen to the reaction. Oh, boy. What a catch he made, Willie McGee. Willie McGee, with the bat and with the glove, has been a one-man show tonight.
Gorman hits a high fly ball into left center field. McGee to the wall, leaps in the air, caught the ball. And back to first goes Ogilvie. Willie McGee took a 2-run home run away from Gorman Thomas.
I think the irony of this game, again, is when George Steinbrenner, after last year's World Series, was upset with his ball club. He said, we're going to go for speed. And they did go out and get Griffey and Collins. And this kid gets away. McGee with the speed he's got.
Fastball is high, ball 1.
he made some catches. Two catches in center field, left center, and off Molitor. And the ball he ran 100 yards for to really end the ball game from deep left center to short center field.
And he made it look easy. Fastball. Good one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals scored a run. A double by Obergefell. And a base hit off the glove of Yount by Hendrick. And it's 1-0 St. Louis. High hopper. Foul. Last night, he was something.
Game 3, in case you joined us last night, this ball was absolutely hit at time. The leaping ability that Dick Enberg brought out, and you've done NCAA basketball championships, Dick, and he just skied about a foot or so above it, take it out of the stand.
He was in slam dunk range, that's for certain.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Gorman Thomas thought it was out when he hit it. It just never did get up. It just went straight. He thought it was a home run. Foul ball down the third baseline.
But that's the kind of hitter they scouted McGee as being, the Milwaukee Brewer advanced scouts. He slaps the ball to left field. He pecks away at you and tries to beat it out, and he jolts to in the right field seats on it.
You know, Tony's a natural right-handed batter. He said, I made myself a left-handed hitter, a switch hitter, when I joined the pro ranks, as I realized I just couldn't do it all from one side.
Now joining Charlie Keller and Tony Kubek. The only rookies. They had 2 home runs in the game. And he's got another base hit to left field. So McGee is on, and he's liable to run at any time. He's not a good base stealer yet. He's a good runner with the natural speed that he has, and it's just raw speed that allows him to steal the bases. And here's Ozzie Smith, a good hit and run man. You have to be alive for anything.
I think that is pointed out by his season stats. You look at what McGee did. Stole 58, stole 24, was caught 12 times. It'd actually teach him a lead. Buddy Herzog said he spent 5 years, and Whitey said, I taught him the old Casey Stengel lead off first base.
It's high. Ball 1 as Ozzie Smith shortened up as if to bunt. Drew in Molitor, and now looking at Chuck Hiller. May switch off and start the runner and play hit and run or bunt and run. You would think it'd be hit and run if they were going to switch it off. Molitor is in tight. Holding. It's a strike.
You know, Joe, on artificial surface, the base stealers use the turf and the dirt as a reference point. Here, of course, you don't have that. So what Lonnie Smith and Ozzie Smith did, they went out and made a little mark in the grass so that they knew and McGee knew how far to get off for that measured lead. You don't have that dirt and turf. 1 foot on the turf, 1 foot on the dirt here. I don't know if we can see it on the grass because it's just a little mark they try and cut out with their cleats.
Like starting blocks, imaginary starting blocks. More of where to go from rather than a shove. Holding. There's calling time or what?
No play. It may have been a tip strike.
I don't know what he's calling. He took both
arms up in the air, no play. It's the play that confused Davy Phillips last night when Jim Evans' arms went up in the air first. Davy Phillips took his eye off the play, and then Jim Evans, who was then at third base,
called it a strike.
Fair.
It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Tipped it. There was no play sign up in the air. Same as a foul ball.
In the old days, those guys would boom it out. Now they're getting so technical, so television-minded. Both hands up means one thing. Maybe we can get them on a game show. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Didn't mean to swing, out of play. And count remains at 1 and 2. It's kind of silly, no play on a foul tip. It's been that way for 10,000 years. Doubleday and even Ben Franklin, who didn't play that much, knew about that, and all of a sudden they're changing it.
Well, I can understand it, though. You tell the other umpires what's happening. If a guy's stealing, you stop playing, he won't slide. You can prevent an injury, so there are some reasons for it.
Almost a wild pitch, way outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That looked like a pitch out. I think that Haas was throwing a pitch out, but Simmons wasn't expecting it.
If you're going to throw one, you better let that catcher know. There he goes. There's the pitch out. And he couldn't throw the ball and throws the ball badly now. He double pumped it, and he had the play diagnosed. And I wonder if somebody was late covering because Simmons started the throw and held up and double pumped it.
That's one of the things the advanced scouts from the Brewers, Dee Bondi, one of them said, and Nelson Burbrink, try to hold your position. The shortstop and the second base. I don't think it was going to matter anyways because McGee had about 3 steps before Moose Haas released the ball, and he was just accelerating.
Well, that'll get the Cardinal bench to thinking because he called the pitch out on the 2-2. The runner was breaking, but the double pump couldn't get anybody. 1 man out. Right back here. Count remains at 3-2. Walked him.
So McGee's stolen base total. His tops in the minor leagues, 4 years, just 25. He was on base quite a bit that year. Fort Lauderdale.
Let's pause briefly for our station identification. This is the NBC television network.
The Glenn Campbell Music Show with B.J. Thomas, 7:30 tonight, KNBC Los Angeles.
With Tony Kubek, Dick Enberg, Tom Seaver, Bob Costas, this is Joe Garagiola here in County Stadium, where the Cardinals lead 1-0. 1 man out. The batter is Tommy Herr with Willie McGee at second and Ozzie Smith at first. Herr was called out on strikes. 3 pitches his first time up.
McGee's getting a nice walking lead, and the shortstop and second baseman are spread. Left-handed hitter would be unlikely, but you never know.
Foul ball.
With Ozzie Smith at first on the other end, does not look like a double steal situation with a left-hander up, but Whitey doesn't play the book way. He says if he thinks he can advance it, keep out of a double play, you take it. All he has really for these guys that don't steal sign. Most of them are on their own. They can steal whenever they wish.
Chuck Hiller at third base is way out of the box. Really getting an angle on the shortstop. There you see him. Look at that.
The thing about it with her up, who slaps the ball to the left side, Robin Yount can't get too close. Cannot get too close to hold McGee at second. There's a lot of room there. You bet.
They had a play on, and it gets by Simmons. There go the runners. Second baseman Gantner broke over, and Haas made a tactical error by at least backing off the mound and looking, but he threw to the plate, and out of position was the second baseman.
McGee was going. McGee had a false start, and when he saw Gantner break, Hiller yelled, "Get back," and it froze McGee, and then the pitch bounced in the dirt. And very alertly, Ozzie Smith fouled right up. He watched the lead runner. See, there he was going, but then he spotted, or somebody yelled, right there, that Gantner was coming for the pickoff. Now it gets by, he accelerates. They both get in scoring position. What speed can do to intimidate an infielder, a pitcher, and a catcher.
I think that when he saw Gantner over there, it froze him, and then the ball got by. Haas simply backing off the rubber would have broken up the play. There's 1 man out, 1-1 to count, and it's low, 2 balls and a strike.
Really been a messy inning for Haas after giving up the base hit. Then they have a pitch out. They can't throw out McGee. Then he loses the number 9 hitter, Ozzie Smith, on a walk, and now a wild pitch, and suddenly 1 hit, and you have 2 men perched in scoring position.
And the Brewers put themselves in trouble in the first inning when Robin Yount couldn't keep that ball in front of them. Collected it. They played shabbily last night in stretches. Cost them a few runs.
2-1 pitch. Foul. Count goes to 2-2. High and tied. It's a full count. 3-2. The on-deck batter is Obergefell. There you see him. He doubled his first time up. High fly ball, center field. Thomas is going back. It'll score at least 1. I say 1 because Ozzie Smith can run. Gorman Thomas falls. They're going to try to score 2. Here comes the relay throw. It is not in time.
Wasn't that something? That wind just kept pushing him back to the warning track, and we have talked about the Cardinals' speed. They showed it in Game 2 on the turf, and Ozzie Smith gives another RBI. Sacrifice fly, 2 RBIs, a very unusual official scoring decision that you see 1 time a year, maybe once every couple of years. Gorman just keeps backpedaling, slips right here as the wind really fooled him. Blowing much stronger up high. Watch out, he's going home all the way, Joe. All the way, and Chuck Hiller says, keep on coming. He picked it up, he really did it on his own, and Hiller says, here you go.
Tony, that's why I said They're going to score one easily because you could see him really cranking up the engines at second base. He was ready to go, and once Gorman Thomas went down, he was able to score.
I don't know if that's ever happened in a World Series game. I've seen it happen infrequently during the course of a season, but a sacrifice fly, 2 RBIs.
What he gets. So it's a 3-0 ball game, top of the second. And that misses. It's 2 balls and no strikes. And that'll take the heart out of a ball club. They're going to really have to come back because the Cardinals are forcing the mistakes now. They're not knocking your brains out. They're forcing the mistakes.
Like stealing 2 runs this inning.
Well, what it does is sends the ball club, as we look at Butch Yotkerman looking in there, who's retiring this year. Butch been there since 26. It makes the ball club go back to the bench and start talking to one another. 3-0 the count.
On the other hand, the way that ball carried off the bat of her, for the Milwaukee fans, they know you get it up in the air and hit it straight away, we might see some home runs before this one's over.
He walked him.
I don't see anyone throwing in the Milwaukee bullpen. That's what surprises me. And just now, someone is taking off a jacket. And the way Haas has been struggling in the inning,
it's typical, really, the way Harvey has managed most of the year. In fact, that's one of the big moves he made. Now they're starting to remove some jackets down there. It's Ned Yost, one of their catchers. But when Harvey took over, he said, boys, I'm going to let you finish off ball games. And he knew he had some problems in middle relief at one time until it got straightened out. He continues to manage this way in a short series, and you wonder if that's the way to continue managing in a short series as opposed to 162 games.
Simmons is going out to talk to his pitchers. The count of ball 1 on Hernandez. So far, Slayton, if you're just going by pitches, has made 53. I mean Haas, not Slayton. Moose Haas. Slayton is up in the bullpen, but Haas has made 53 pitches, and we are in the top of the second inning. There you see Slayton.
And remember, Obergfell stole a base earlier in this series. But he's good walking lead, he's gone.
Simmons will not get him. He had no chance. He couldn't have got him unless he had a 30-30 out there. He had a walking lead. He was walking 4 steps. Haas just looked at the plate, and he took off.
It is really something how Moose Haas had his head in the ballgame against the Angels, pitched so brilliantly. And today he's out there somewhat befuddled, paid no attention to Obergfell, who had a 2 or 3 step walking lead before he even released the ball. Teddy never had a chance.
That's 6 steals now for the Cardinals in the series.
2 balls and no strikes on Hernandez. You know he's got the green light. Misses. And it's ball 3. Now he was hitting 3-0 his last time up. Fouled it off, ended up striking out. As we look at Chuck Hiller.
Getting up toward the home plate to get a bigger angle on a base hit so he can run up the line and make a split-second decision, whether to send a runner or not.
That's Obergfell at second base. 3-0 pitch. Hot smash. Gantner can't get it through his legs. Here comes Obergfell. He's going to score. Hernandez heading for second. Here's the throw. It is not in time.
An interesting scoring decision because Gantner was handcuffed the ball. He had to back up and go to his right. The ball took a little skip on him. Hernandez 0 for 12 so far in this World Series. Giving an error to Gantner. A tough call, a tough error. That one that they gave Hernandez in Game 1 was a tough error because it was a bullet on the turf, and this is tough also. He gets in front, but look at how the ball stayed down. An artificial surface, it bounds up, hits him in the chest, nothing else.
So Hernandez is on at second base. The Cardinals lead 4-0. It's George Hendrick. Hit a high hopper for an infield hit. His first time up is the batter. It's a strike.
You know, Harvey in last night's game went with Vukovic a long time while they were pecking away at him. And Lonnie Smith and McGee. It's been his pattern since he took over as manager.
Hop foul. Cecil Cooper is there. He makes the play. So that ends the inning. A big inning for the Cardinals, a tough one for the Brewers. As we go to the bottom of the second, it's St. Louis 4, Milwaukee 0.
The infield is back. Cooper and Molitor have shortened up, however. The 3-2 pitch is swung on and a high fly ball to center. Gorman Thomas came in. Now he has to go way back to the track and one-handed, and then he fell down. McGee scores, and here coming to the plate trying to score is Ozzie Smith, and he does. They get 2 on a long fly ball to center when Gorman Thomas caught it and fell down, and Gorman was fooled on that fly ball from the moment it left the bat.
Many faces of Harvey Keene as he saw a tough inning. The manager sits there knowing that his future is in the hands of 9 guys on the field. And you've got to say that was a tough inning. Sutton and Haas sitting there. John Sutton trying to get him going. It's only 4-0, and here is Simmons. Only 1 hit in that inning. And Haas made 37 pitches.
Now here's where the Brewers need to get the crowd back in the game. They've got to start doing something offensively.
2 balls and no strikes on Simmons, who was 4 for 12 in the World Series, a .333 average, has 2 home runs. Foul ball.
I'll make a statement, Tony. I don't think 4 runs will win the game.
I don't know, when you look at the stat sheets, and they're always inconclusive, and they don't have stat sheets in the Brewer dugout. 21 game starts for LaPoint this year. He did not have a complete game. 4 of the wins he had, Suter saved. Suter pitched last night. Hot and Bear were in. We don't know how long Suter can go, so middle relief might become important, whether it's a Lottie or guys we haven't seen. A Mura or a Martin, you don't know. But Whitey Herzog would love to get 6 good innings at least out of this guy. Anything after that, he'll take.
Simmons doesn't get it. Change of pace, and Simmons is out on strikes. He kind of turned it over a little bit.
That's the pitch he worked on after he broke his arm throwing. Came back 3 weeks later with no surgery. He developed a bone spur, Joe and Dick, and a doctor wanted to perform surgery on it. And Ed Sprague, a former pitcher, said, don't let him cut on you. It was the same kind of surgery they were talking about as Tommy John had. And he worked throwing against the wall for that screwball-like looking changeup. Tails away.
1 man out, and here is Gorman Thomas. High fly ball, drifting out Ozzie Smith. Willie McGee coming in. McGee says, I'll take it. He does.
You see how far out Ozzie Smith went for that ball? He was out in short left center field until he got called off by that man with a great speed.
So they're 2 away. It brings up Ben Ogilvy. Tony, as far as Suter talking about relief, Whitey Herzog is on record saying, I'll only use him for 4 outs. He's got it down to outs. He's not even talking about innings. Been using him regularly if you've been following the series, and he's on tap for only 4 outs. Strike 1 on Ben Ogilvy. Ogilvy 1 for 12 in this series. Left field, going back. Lonnie Smith near the wall. He cannot get an extra bases. And Ogilvy rounding second. He's digging for third. Here comes the throw, a triple.
Well, we saw the same thing that happened to Gorman Thomas. The wind got hold of it. Lonnie Smith tried to accelerate and catch up, and he hit this wall very hard. It almost looked like he hit a pole support. You hit that, and there's not a whole lot of give. And the deal where when he hits it and jams that elbow or shoulder, you can get seriously hurt. Just kept drifting away from him. Willie McGee with a good job with his speed, but that's inside the park home run if he doesn't come over.
Here's down money. Almost gets by Porter, blocked nicely. Ogilvy on at third base, looking to score. It's 4-0 St. Louis. We're in the bottom of the second. Money, 1 for 3. He's the designated hitter. There are 2 outs. Foul tip. 1 ball and 1 strike. The wind, when you look at the flag, deceiving because it is just kind of lazily blowing. Beautiful backdrop. But on the ball hit to Gorman Thomas, and the ball hit the left field. Didn't look like it would carry that far, but it certainly did. Money doesn't get it. He had a good cut. 1 ball and 2 strikes. May have chased a bad ball out on strikes, and that ends the inning. Second strikeout for LaPoint. So we complete 2 innings of baseball here. The score, St. Louis 4, Milwaukee nothing. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Milwaukee's County Stadium, where the Cardinals are leading by the score of 4-0. And it'll be Porter to lead it off, and for the play-by-play, here is Dick Enberg.
All right, Joe. Hello, everyone. St. Louis Cardinals, 4-0, top of the 3rd inning. Darrell Porter had a base hit his first time up, looped a single to center field. Moose Haas struggling in the early innings, gets a strike in on the breaking ball. Porter with his hit in the first inning, now with a total of 5 to lead the Cardinals in that regard. They're the men that he does not like to see on first base. Raines, Wilson, and Sachs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reset the defense. It's Moose Haas on the mound. Simmons behind the plate. Molitor at third. Yount at short on the left side. Gantner and Cooper are back on the right side. In left field, Ogilvy, Thomas in right center, and Moore in deep right. Nibbles on the corner, 1-2.
Dick, the Brewers find themselves in a similar situation that the Cardinals did in Game 2, and the Cardinals are down 3-0. They're looking for somebody, Haas, because he's out there to shut down the Cardinals for 1 inning. Give a little more life when they go on the bench so the offense can get something moving.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Check swing foul. Haas is a locksmith. You look at Porter, 1 for 1 today. And he's also an amateur magician. Right now, he'd like to make those 4 runs disappear.
There's an umpire at the third baseline who's a pretty good magician himself. The Wire. Form in front of Magic Groups. It's a Magic Castle on the West Coast. They both go there.
That's a fair ball. Off the front lip of home plate, and Porter is out. Feared at first it might have hit his front foot.
Porter, who's having a good series, they've been wondering about his throwing ability. The other night he was able to get a speedy Paul Molitor on the hit-run play. It was a key play. Yount missed the pitch, and Molitor was out. That was in the 8th inning.
And he got a split-fingered Suter fastball up in the strike zone, an unlikely place for it to be, which he can handle very well.
Bonnie Smith, a couple of key hits in last night's Cardinal 6-2 victory, a double and a triple. Grounded to third his first time up. Molitor bag high at third, looking for a possible bunt. Check swing, and there's 2 away.
Simmons now has gone to the breaking stump. I don't know if that was a slider or a split-fingered fastball.
I'm sure you recognize that man. You'll be seeing him in the Devlin Connection every Saturday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. That's Mr. Rock Hudson. You know, I did an interview with Rock Hudson from Monitor Radio, and boy, you ought to see all the secretaries that came down to see me do that interview. He is a nice-looking man. The Devlin Connection, Rock Hudson.
Orge has been a solid hitter in his Cardinal career, often overlooked because he's not a starter, but he's hit .301 in his 5 years with the Redbirds, and likes that artificial carpet. You can see a .309.
It's the ball very well the opposite way. Left center field.
Flashes that one in that direction. Foul.
2 Orge brothers in professional baseball at one time. One still with the Toronto Blue Jays, as we told you earlier. Garth, who played third.
Had a good year.
Second. He was up at 300 almost all year long. Finished about 285.
Exactly 285.
Really a terrific. I want to use the word utility player. He's going to be around a long time, Garth. And this guy will too, because he can swing the bat. And you always find a spot for him.
Loop behind short. Robin Yount. And Moose Haas retires the Cardinals in order in the 3rd inning. Milwaukee coming up bottom of the 3rd will bring up Charlie Moore. Then Jim Gantner. And the top of the order, Paul Molitor, trailing St. Louis by 4. What a view off at the top of your screen. That's Lake Michigan, city of Milwaukee, County Stadium jammed
beyond capacity. 53,000 seats. There are around 56,000 fans here. The Brewers trail 4-0. Charlie Moore leads off the third. And Dave LaPoint has a strike. Moore hitting .333 in the series, 4 for 12. Gantner, then Molitor. Anyone gets on Robin Yount in the Milwaukee third. High fly to right center. Hendrick and McGee, and Willie McGee in center has it for the out.
You think he doesn't make it easy on a right and a left fielder? I mean, they can just spread out and protect the lines because anything hitting the gaps, he's going to run down. That is a valuable piece of young property out there.
Now the Yankees could let him escape. Jim Gantner, 4 for 11 in the series. Easy tap to Oberkfell, and 2 pitches, 2 outs for Dave LaPoint.
After a shutout inning by Haas, the fans with the first hitter Moore got into the game just a little bit. Haas pitched the shutout inning.
Molitor with only 2 pitches required from LaPoint for 2 outs, taking his time walking to the plate. He swung at the first pitch himself to start off the first inning and grounded to third.
Now he's going to have to take a pitch because you got to make the guy work a little bit.
You know, there's a bad statistic working against Milwaukee facing LaPoint today. LaPoint during the season in day games was 4-0, and on the road was 5-0. Overall on the year, 9-3. Former Brewer, part of that big trade. David Green, Lascano, Sorensen. Brewers going to St. Louis for Simmons, Vukovich, and Fingers. LaPoint has a unique record. He won both in the American and National Leagues by the age 22. About as quickly as you can get the job done. He won 1 game for the Brewers in 1980, was 1-0. Then last year in St. Louis was 1-0. So LaPoint at 22, one of the youngest ever to have a major league victory on both sides of the fence. There's the big trade. It helped both clubs.
And there are many baseball officials here looking to make trades.
Lascano now at San Diego, Sorensen in Cleveland. Goes after a bad pitch. Looked like a tough, hard slider. Bounce.
So the Brewers are out 1, 2, 3 in the third inning. It's all St. Louis early in game 4. The Cardinals, 4 runs and 4 hits. The Brewers, no runs and 2 hits. This is a shot from last night's game. 2 former Oakland A's MVPs in the World Series, Roland Fingers and Gene Tennis. Remember, you saw them, and then Tennis started laughing. We asked him, what were they talking about? He said, Roland Fingers was telling me about some of the cures people have written him and told him how to help out his arm. And one was to tie an onion around his elbow.
His wife would love that, wouldn't she?
Tennis said, dip it in cider and go to the dance.
We got to talk to Andujar. Look at that aceite de calibra, that
Yes.
snake oil. Rub it in. DMSO has been known to be used.
Well, Nolan Ryan used to dip that finger in brine, didn't he?
Apple juice.
Willie McGee, one of the names out of this 1982 World Series that will be remembered by the baseball world. 2 home runs as a rookie last night. A young man who apparently is going to blossom into quite a beautiful flower for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, and you can look down through the years of Frankie Crissetti way back during the Ruth Gehrig year. He emerged as a hero. And a Bobby Richardson in the record book with all the power stats. The 60 Yankees.
Shot to Yount on one hop. He runs so easily and still a close play at first base.
Sports World returns later on today with a lineup that includes live championship boxing. Frank the Animal Fletcher against James Hard Rock Green in a middleweight showdown. Scheduled 12-rounder for the USBA championship. Then it's off to Tokyo for sumo wrestling. 300-pounders. Boy, I'll tell you, there's something. Catch all the action coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC's Sports World.
Oh, isn't that
Smith.
funny?
Molitor can't get him, and Ozzie Smith has a bunt single.
I think it's interesting how we've talked about the speed of these Cardinals. Our statistician, Steve Dans, is a stopwatch. And from up in the booth, you might not get a completely accurate time. Now, this is Ozzie Smith running on the bunt as he beats it out, and Molitor was looking for it. But McGee, when you said he ran so easily, Steve Dans timed him unofficially at 3.2 seconds from the left side of the ball he slapped. And Ozzie Smith's not too far behind, but 3.2 is unheard of. Mantle had done it in 3 or 3.1 on the drag bunt before. So unofficial, but that's not bad, is it?
Well, he hit a shot, one hop to short, and still almost beat it out. Smith has the 5th Cardinal hit off Haas, leading 4-0 here in the 4th, and scratching for more, and Smith will bear watching for the hitter. Kerr will be able to tell his grandchildren someday, I hit one so far in the World Series, they tagged up from 3rd and scored, they tagged up from 2nd and scored. 2 RBIs on 1 fly ball his last time up. Smith, 25 steals at first base this year, thrown out only 5 times.
Gets a little bit bigger lead than Willie McGee did. Maybe another stride longer.
Ball 1.
From here on in, I'd look for him to run because he's got him measured.
Hit to center. Thomas giving some ground. 2 away.
Well, Keith Oberkfell's not having an outstanding series. He's got about 4 base hits, a walk or so, a stolen base. We'll show you what his swing looks like. They always talk about inside-out swing. Well, every swing in baseball is basically inside-out. You can't swing with your hands outside and come in or you're a bad hitter. See his hands in the barrel of the bat, trailing behind, locks that front hip, which may keep that bat trailing. You can see where he's looking, slapping it to the left side.
Oberkfell with a double to right and scored, walked in the 2nd and scored.
Watching Haas, as we look at Oberkfell, the way Haas checks the runners, he kind of sneaks a look over there and then more or less quick pitches. Watch his eyes. This is a good shot. Watch what he does. He's really getting a good lead.
He's not even looking at the runner. He's just very lackadaisically standing on the mound and then trying to, with a quick move, surprise Ozzie Smith.
It's when he looks away and looks down. Here's the play that they almost got him, but he was back there.
Well, Smith knows he's measured the proper lead. That's about it.
He's got him measured all right, but what? Not yet, not yet. Right there. That was a good move. That was the good move.
I think his foot was slapped off the bag by Cooper, or he stumbled when he hit the bag, but he had him red because he came back standing up that time. Watch the snap throw. Foot's on, he comes short of the bag. The hand was on it. First base umpire Satch Davis says, nice call, Satch.
Well, that's an alert tag by Cooper to be able to get the hand.
Yep.
So Smith picked off first base, and that wraps up the Cardinals in the 4th inning. Coming up, Milwaukee needing 4 to tie. Robin Yount leads off the Milwaukee 4th inning. Tom Seaver has been charting the pitches. What has Yount done prior to this game?
One of the many charts that we've been keeping up here in the booth, not only pitching charts, but how they have been hitting and to what parts of the field they have been hitting. There was an example of Robin hitting to the right of the pitcher. We have charts of where Robin has hit in this ballpark. The different colors indicate different pitches, and the different lines, and the swirly cues on the lines would be pop flies. Now, these are things that would help a manager in placing his defense, where he's going to play him. He would get these kinds of reports from his advanced scouts, and as you can see from this chart, Robin Yount obviously a spray hitter using all of the ballpark.
And accounts for the fact that he was one of the best hitters, 2nd best in the American League. Willie Wilson just edging him out for the batting title. Cecil Cooper lined into a double play in the 1st inning. Yount was at first breaking on the pitch, and Cooper lined to 2nd for an easy double play. Nub to the left side, base hit, even though Smith is able to get his glove around it.
Even when he doesn't make the play, he looks sensational. He's playing Cooper up the middle, hitting off into the bat with English. Ball squirted by Oberkfell, and somehow he's still got a glove on it. That is the temperament that makes him just so marvelous to watch. He wants every ball hit to him. He doesn't shy away from balls in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Some shortstops do. He is some kind of rally killer. Not that time, but look at that.
What an athlete.
Missing a ball. You know, that's like LaRuth striking out or Reggie striking out. Come to see him not make a play.
He stayed right with it, too, and he realized he wasn't going to make the play, but he hung with it.
In the dirt, ball 1. Ted Simmons shortening up on the bat. He struck out swinging his first time up.
You know, talking about the charts Tom Seaver just showed us, Whitey Herzog is the only manager that I know who keeps the charts himself. He goes to his room after the game, puts the lines in so he knows. And he took all the charts he made in the American League to Kansas City and brought them here so he knows this coming.
And we should point out, while Tom Seaver has kept those charts in each of the hitters, Milwaukee and St. Louis, during the course of the year, each manager will have that information, how a certain hitter did against a certain pitcher. And maybe a pattern that will fill out during the course of the year, and you'll find out that a man is a dead pull hitter like Darrell Porter, and that's why Milwaukee has altered its defensive alignment to play him dead pull. 3-0 now to Simmons. Crowd trying to get into it, but they're not believers yet. It's 4-0. They need a couple of base hits to rattle around County Stadium. 3-1. Power coming up, so Simmons would like to get on there, set the table for Thomas or Ogilvie.
Look where Willie McGee's playing. Kurt Flood played a deep center field like that in his Cardinal days, as opposed to Paul Blair, who was so great for the Orioles. He played shallow.
He walked him. So for the first time in the game, the Brewers have 2 men on. Now the crowd, some of them rise to their feet as Gorman Thomas. He manufactured 39 home runs during the course of the year.
That's what this ball club can do. One swing of the bat, and they're right back in it.
Cardinals get someone up in the bullpen. And here comes Porter. Jeff Lottie starts to tune up.
Here comes Kittle. Jeff Lottie, as we told you. Kittle's coming out with Porter. Kittle says when LaPoint lands on the front stiff leg and then follows through toward the third base side is when he gets in trouble. He overthrows. The right shoulder flies out and the arm trails and he loses his control. A little mechanical thing that he'll try and work out with him if he can.
Does not want to make a mistake to Gorman Thomas, who among the home run hitters, defining that as anyone who hit 20 or more in the major leagues, was third in home run ratio. Reggie Jackson led the majors. He had a home run every 13.6 at bats. Then it was Kingman, and Gorman Thomas was third. Every 14, 15 trips to the plate, Thomas got one out. And that's what the crowd wants now, trailing 4-0.
Sure of the signs, the crowd a little bit impatient, and Harvey looking for that one big swing. Porter had switched signs, and LaPoint was not sure, and that's the only thing you can do is call your catcher out there.
Thomas is 2 for 12 in the series. Herzog has someone getting ready in the bullpen. Gorman with only 1 RBI thus far. Pops it up again. It'll be out of play. He has hit some giant pop flies. No, it won't be out of play.
Wynn pushed it back in, Dick. That ball was 4-5, rose in the seats, and Porter did not quit on it. And that wind that has drifted the ball so deeply to the outfield also pushed this ball back in. Look at Darrell Porter. Looks the mask, Joe. He really hustled.
He did a good job of finding that fence and just waiting for it, and he cradled it. He had some more room to go.
Yeah, that seems certain to fall back into the crowd, and Porter alertly read it properly, and Gorman Thomas has popped out again. Here's Ben Ogilvie. He'd like to take his triple that was wasted in the second inning right now. 2 men on, 2 out. And they play him way back. In fact, the right fielder, interestingly, Hendrick, is shortest of the 3 outfielders. The left fielder, Lonnie Smith, is way back. Smith rubbing his back on the wall in center. And then the right fielder, the full side for Ogilvy, he is playing the most shallow of the 3.
Show you the man who has confidence going back in the ball. That's Hendrick.
1 strike. 1-1. Right at Hernandez. And the inning is over. So the Brewers, no runs a hit, they leave 2. We've completed 4 innings of Game 4 at County Stadium, Milwaukee. It's St. Louis 4. The Brewers nothing. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. One of those classic fall days in the upper Midwest. County Stadium. We were surprised last night when they announced the crowd, the largest ever here at County Stadium, 56,000 plus, or 53,000 seats. Today, we realized where those 3,000 were, trying to get from downstairs prior to the game up to the booth. The standing room must be 4 or 5 deep on all levels. You saw some shots earlier of people that are actually lying down on the rampways to see through and get a view of the game. And there's a look at the crowd.
This is not the original ballpark, completely original, because they extended those stands down toward the foul pole to slightly unwrap this ball field.
And in a way, it's a shame. In the right field corner, maybe we can get a look at it later, where they built the upper deck, it used to be up on the hill beyond the ballpark, Mockingbird Hill, the VFW hospital. And the old soldiers that sit out there, they had their own grandstand. They listened to Earl Gillespie on the radio and watched the game. Oberkfell lines it foul, leading off the 5th inning. Has a double and a walk. He was up when Ozzie Smith was picked off first base to close out the 4th inning. Grounded at Gantner. And is 1 away. Here to get him on that split finger fastball. Yeah, around the world and the United States, action captured by a battery of photographers. Located down the 1st and 3rd baselines just beyond the dugouts.
Dick Haas has really settled down. The first 2 innings, he made 59 pitches. In the 3rd and 4th inning, only 22. He made 9 pitches in the 4th inning. It's quite a contrast.
And for the Brewers and Haas, he's going to have to pitch that way because the Cardinals already with that 4-run edge. He has to check them, hope some of those wall bangers can get the bats jumping for Milwaukee. 1-0. Hernandez, hungry for a hit, is now 0 for 13 in the series, an unlikely candidate to wear the collar that long.
You're talking about coverage around the world. One of the most prolific countries sending talent to professional baseball is the Dominican Republic. And Andujar is from San Pedro de Macorís. The first thing he said when he was going out, being wheeled out when he showed us, be sure somebody tell my mother in the Dominican that I'm all right. So if you didn't get the message, Mom, Joaquin's doing fine.
Yes, indeed. He was wearing a big smile down in the dugout prior to the game today.
I was watching it last night and saw it quicker than anybody.
Laughing friends, and there's Joaquin in the 3rd base dugout. 1-2 the count on Hernandez. Change. Out into the hole. And there again, as you described it last night, Tony, the gliding action of Young, just moving so gracefully to his right, in position to make that 1 hop and throw to first base.
Joe could probably talk about this better than I could because he's a glider like Marty Marion, I would think, as opposed to Phil Rizzuto, a scooter like a Ozzie Smith.
There were 2 guys. Eddie Miller was like that. They could catch an egg and make it look easy.
George Hendrick, an infield hit, a chopper that bounded out of the glove of Yount in the 1st inning and knocked in the 1st run of the ball game. Oberkfell was at 2nd at the time with 2 outs. Woohoo! I made it 1-0 in the 2nd inning. A disastrous frame for Moose Haas. Allowed a single to McGee and no other hits afterwards, but the Cardinals still scored 3 runs. Walks, wild pitches, errors, and that's how we stand 4-0. A 2-run sacrifice fly capped it off.
Oh, we showed you earlier when the white line was there for reference point. There it is, where he's got a little corner of it. Now it's gone, so how do you know?
Well, he's definitely
he may be
out.
Back a little bit.
What's interesting, he's not only in the back end of the batter's box out, but on the side line He's got his heel right on that line.
But what they do, he'll put his heel there. His toe is the important thing because sometimes on the pitch, now he's just barely got a piece of it. He'll just move his heel out and almost hit straight away, and he's out of the box, but it's too late to call it.
When you see a guy that far away from the plate, the immediate thing I'm sure pitcher catches is he likes to get those arms extended, go outside, but they went outside on him.
And he still got out there, flies it to center field. Thomas has it, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Moose Haas. We're at the halfway mark in this Game 4, the World Series. 4.5 innings in the book. The St. Louis Cardinals 4, Milwaukee nothing for the Brewers. In the 5th, it'll be Don Money, Charlie Moore, and Jim Gantner. Don Money, the Brewers' designated hitter to start the 5th inning. Cardinals lead 4-0 here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Wind blowing more briskly now. The flag pointed out toward center field. 1-1. LaPoint had the honor of clinching the division championship for the Cardinals when he beat Montreal 4-2 a couple of weeks before the end of the regular season. Pitch in Game 1 just got some work in that 10-0 shellacking that Milwaukee handed St. Louis at Busch Stadium. Worked an inning and 2/3, allowed 3 hits and 2 runs. That was probably a good move by Herzog to get him some work, not letting him rust, and he's been sharp enough today, scattering 3 hits and leads 4-0. Hit well to left center field. Willie McGee doesn't get that one. And Money is at second base. It appeared that McGee had that one all the way, and then at the last minute leaped, and the wind may have blown that by him. Base hit, a double for Money.
Well, we've talked about his speed throwing arm. We saw his power yesterday, but they used the term erratic with him. And it is not an easy play. Look how high he is off the ground, and he may have been looking as he's coming down for that fence. One hit his glove, but it was an awfully tough. It would have been a beautiful catch.
One of the scouting reports said they get to a lot of balls, but that doesn't mean they catch them.
That appeared to be a catchable opportunity.
Would have been an outstanding catch, however, because he went a long way.
So Charlie Moore with Money, a leadoff double, last of the 5th inning. Moore fly to center his only time up, and LaPoint starts him with a change.
Hopkill and Darrell Porter were talking about him, and they said in key situations this year, LaPoint struck out with that changeup. Gary Carter, Andre Dawson in another game, and Mike Schmidt. And as this man said, those are the three of the toughest hitters in our league. Hopkill.
Luke to center, McGee playing deep. He won't get it. Stopping at third is Money, and the Brewers, with no one out, have runners at the corners. And Jim Gantner is the batter.
And I would think that would get some stirring in the Cardinal bullpen.
There is. 4-0, St. Louis leads. Money at third. Moore at first.
Jeff Lottie. John Martin.
Infield looking for a double play. Up the middle. Smith gets a double play. Oh, my.
He somehow fielded the ball, kept his eye in the bag, touched it with his right foot, and turned it into a double play. This man has tremendous. It's really LaPoint's ball, but for a poor foul. Watch Smith come in your picture. Hers there, he steals it from him while his right foot is on the bag. Off balance throw, wacko. Stops another rally.
That's incredible. The magic of the Wizard of Oz.
And Charlie Moore came up limping after this. We're right now, we're on Ozzie Smith because it's so brilliant, but he limped off the field. I don't know if he jammed his foot. He never thought that ball was going to get caught. He was going to start making his turn to go to third. He thought it was through. What tremendous balance and instincts.
He can make such an accurate throw while off balance. He did it on the double play where he stopped and threw it, and here he's off balance here. But look, it doesn't make any difference. A perfect strike.
Imagine the feelings of her. He says, I've got it, I'll step on the bag, maybe get one out of it because I'm going away from the bag, away from the play at first.
Money scored from third, so it's 4-1, but the double play really kills for the moment the thoughts of a Milwaukee rally, and the presence, the body knowledge of Ozzie Smith, knowing where all the parts are, that he could time that play, feel for the bag, still get to the ball, and turn a tough play into 2 quick outs.
I've been at all kinds of shortstop clinics, involved as a participant, as an instructor. You think you can teach something like that? No.
2 outs. 2-0 the count. And Molitor takes a strike. You didn't mean to lose your point there, Tom Seaver, and well taken that the Brewers, a long ball hitting team, trying to hit a 6-run home run, meaning that, hey, just get some base hits. Don't worry about doing it all yourself.
Dick, the significant point, I think, being that when the Cardinals got their 3 runs in the top of the 2nd inning, it felt like it took them half an hour. It seemed that's what really the Brewers need. They need some singles, a double, some singles, and then somebody will pop a home run. You can't tie the game up. It's an expression that ball players will use on the bench. They sit there and you see players trying to do more than they're capable of doing.
2-2. Wow. LaPoint lost his bid for a shutout, but as indicated earlier, he just wants to give him 6 good innings. McGee with a beat on this one. And that's it for Milwaukee in the 5th inning. They get a run on a couple of hits, but are denied the big inning by shortstop Ozzie Smith. The Golden Glove for the St. Louis Cardinals. After 5, 4-1, St. Louis. Cardinals 4, Milwaukee 1 after 5 innings. Tom Seaver talked about the chart that he's been keeping on Robin Yount. How about Darrell Porter? How does that one look?
Well, as opposed to a Robin Yount, who you saw earlier, you can see Porter primarily hits the ball over here to the right side of the infield and the outfield. The ball that is down that left field line, you can see the blue line down there is the hanging curveball that Don Sutton threw in game number 2. But this gives the managers, of course, again, a good example of how hitters will hit the ball, where they will hit the ball, where to place the defense. If they hit the ball on the ground, a lot on the infield, if they hit a lot of fly balls, etc. And of course, you can see, Dick, obviously, over the course of a year, the more that a club will see a pitcher, the more of a record you can build on each individual hitter.
And of course, you look at the alignment as Porter steps in, and indeed, the right fielder, Moore, is tucked into the corner. Into right center is Gorman Thomas. Gantner is almost closer to first base than second base, so they stack up the right side. They expect him to pull. Porter 1 for 2 today.
The ball he hit down the left field line was the first one he hit from left field in 4 years, he said. He wasn't making a joke.
Really? Lined that double, it knocked in 2 runs in game 2. And when you think about the series as it has evolved thus far, that may be the biggest hit of this 82 series, because at that point Milwaukee had a win in the bank and they were leading 4-2.
And they talk about baseball as being a team game. Basically, it's a lot of individual efforts. Raleigh Fingers has gone down to the bullpen. Whether or not he'll pitch, no one still knows. But the team effort comes in when you try and coordinate that. A defensive player plays a hitter. More so he plays his pitcher. More so he plays a situation. The key is the pitcher. If he doesn't execute what you talked about, like a Tom Seaver or a Palmer or anybody else, it ain't going to work. Mm-hmm. Execution where all things become coordinated.
Can't play him to hit away and then throw him a nice slow curveball and give even a guy who can't get around a chance to pull it.
It's a team game played by individuals, best exemplified by, do you negotiate as a team or as an individual?
Saying is that you can have 9 fellows that aren't as good as the other 9, but if they work as a unit, they still can beat you.
You go in and try to get a raise and say, but I was part of the team. You find out how big a part you are.
And is that what we're seeing here, guys? And I know I get Cardinal fans mad for me saying this, but individually, I really believe this Brewer club has more talent. Cardinals always use this talent. They are something.
Second strikeout for Haas as he came inside with a fastball. One out, and Lonnie Smith, he's grounded to third and sent a soft liner back to Haas on the mound, over 2. St. Louis Cardinals, they've won more World Series than any National League team. 8 World Series championships. Of course, the all-time leader, the New York Yankees, with 22. Ball 1. That's a terrific fight that's scheduled after our World Series Game 3. We hope you'll stay around. Green and Fletcher, 2 body punchers nonstop, both looking for a shot at Marvin Hagler. Hope you'll stay with us. Fair ball by the reach of Molitor. Might even gotten a piece of it. And Smith, with his speed, has a stand-up double.
Show you how the Cardinals have made the best of Brewer mistakes. In a few hits, they'd had 4 runs on just 5 hits. That was a 6 right there. Playing shallow may have cost him. That's another thing with speed will do. He has to play a little shallow in case Lonnie might try and drop a bunt. You can see where he started off for the home plate side of third base. If he'd have had 1 or 2 or 3 more feet of depth to be able to protect, he'd have had it.
Lonnie Smith has 3 hits in this series, all for extra bases, 2 doubles and a triple. Dane Orge, line to center, pop to short. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Smith with a double. There he goes.
Yeah.
And it's hit the right center field. A very tough play. It's going to fall. In comes Smith on a double by Orge, and it's 5-1 St. Louis.
Harvey's got to get a pitcher in there and try and shut something down here. He went with Vukovic a long time. They have thrown 5 runs on the board off Haas. Yeah, there have been some misplays. He's going to come out and have a little talk.
Jim Slayton, veteran right-hander, up through the Milwaukee organization, traded to Detroit for Ben Ogilvie, and then the Brewers able to get Slayton back as a free agent. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Harvey Keene, the leg was amputated below the knee, the right leg, and Harvey was able to, with great spirit and courage, kid about it, says he gives his pitchers a lot of time to warm up. By the time I get from the dugout out to the mound, they get 5 or 6 extra throws. New pitcher coming in, breaking the action. St. Louis leads in Game 4, 5-1. Line on Jim Slayton. 6 games under 500 career, but a good ERA, 3.86.
I've always admired a pitcher that fills the role of a Jim Slayton because he has been a spot starter, a long reliever, a short reliever this year. You approach pitching differently in every one of those, with your pitching pattern, every one of those different areas. Mentally, it's a different ball game when you come in. He's a breaking ball pitcher primarily. Good curveball slider. But when you look for the curveball, he can be very sneaky.
Slayton, as is the case with Gorman Thomas, 2 of the links back to the Seattle Pilots days. He and Thomas were both drafted by the Pilots in '69 with Antelope Valley, California. Willie McGee singled and scored, and out on a hard ground ball to shortstop. Orge at second, hit to left. Ogilvie, 2 away.
When the Cardinals are at bat, it's interesting to watch how, with almost every one of their hitters with a man on base, it always seems like there's movement on the defensive infield. Yount, even on that pitch, was just moving a little bit, jockeying back and forth. It'll be Gantner sometimes. We saw Molitor having to come in. The speed they have and the way Whitey manages, you've always got to be on your toes, and there's always a little hole to shoot through for a hitter.
Switch hitting Ozzie Smith. A walk, and he scored, and a bunt single. But the line that Whitey Herzog uses on Ozzie Smith, he says it's a bonus when he hits 240, 250 because Ozzie Smith saves me 100 runs a year. And everyone says, 100, Whitey? Then you see plays like this today, that double play. How many runs did that save the Cardinals? Yount another chance. Did he pull him off? Yes, he did. So Yount charged with the 2nd Milwaukee error of the day, and the inning is still alive for St. Louis.
Rowden lets the ball go, thought he had an easier play. The ball sails inside. Ozzie Smith shows his agility not just defensively, but running the bases as he leaps over the tag from Cooper. Ozzie Smith, you can see he's a little bit gimpy. He's not running all out because of that severely bruised thigh muscle. He missed 18 of the last 23 ball games that the Cardinals played.
He knew he was safe. Satch Davidson with a good call at first base. So runners at first and third, 2 outs. The Cardinals get an extra out, a 4-out inning, and Herr will endeavor to take advantage. 5-1, and no matter how many home runs you may have hit during the course of the year, you just can't let the other side get too far in front, and 4 is plenty. And St. Louis has a chance to really open up a gap. Joe, you're catching now. Do you think Smith's going?
Oh, you can't assume that he's not. I mean, you got to figure he's going. I'd be looking for him.
Brewers have now made 6 errors in this. Well, we're only in the 4th game.
Loop to short, and the inning's over. So a soft liner to Yount. Couple of doubles by Smith and Orr to get the Cardinals their 5th run. And after 5.5, it is 5-1 St. Louis. Coming up, it'll be Robin Yount, Cooper, and Simmons for the Brewers. Probably without too much argument, the 2 outstanding relief pitchers of this time. Roland Fingers with over 300 saves. Bruce Sutter, Fireman of the Year again this year in the National League, over 200. Rich Gossage is probably get a boat or 2 with those 2 men. Tough to beat. Yount with a line drive stab by LaPoint on a short hop and throws him out. So LaPoint fielding his position and saving a leadoff hit.
That's typical of Harvey's wall bangers, as they have been called. They showed it in game number 1. There they are, what Dick was telling about. Quisenberry, not as much experience as these 2, but creeping up in the stats as he puts more years on. But Yount, I started to say, swinging at the first pitch, even 4 runs down. They're swinging ball club. They don't look for bases on balls.
You know, I think I've got the secret to good relief pitching when you look at that picture of those 2 fellas. It's the hair. The hair on the face. One with a big beard, the other with a old-fashioned mustache that goes back to the early Oakland days. No wonder you weren't a relief pitcher, Joe.
Oh, you had to do that.
Oh, my God.
Cheap shot. Bald-headed men of America, rise.
I didn't say anything about the top of your head. I said your mustache and beard.
Cheap shot.
Cooper hits it high to right field, and Hendrick waiting for it to come down.
Are we getting to the point now, and Tom Seaver made the point yesterday, that Whitey Herzog didn't really want to use Suter in that ball game, but he did. And he used Bear. So you get to this point in the ball game. You said, Joe, Whitey said Suter could go 4 hitters. So he's looking for a little bit more, because the Brewers are still only 4 runs down. And we've talked about the wind blowing out in the power, and just like that, they can hit you with a 3-spot or a 4-spot and get back in the game. They've had opportunities and really just have either been taken out by Smith or just not gotten a key base hit. Insert Ozzie Smith. We've talked about him. We'll let you watch him.
2 strikes now on Simmons. Smith playing almost to the edge of the grass and shading into the hole for the switch hitting catcher. And Willie McGee straightaway center, and it's an easy inning for Dave LaPoint. 1, 2, 3, and after 6 innings, County Stadium in Milwaukee. Dave LaPoint working on a 5-1 lead, and Moose Haas long gone. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Look at Milwaukee. Temperature in the low to mid 50s today. Not much traffic on the expressways. They're all packed in at County Stadium or listening or watching to the radio or telecast of this game. 4, and the St. Louis Cardinals on Milwaukee turf with a chance to open a 3-1 lead in this series. They have a 4-run advantage as Slayton works to Oberkfell. Cardinals, as was the case last night, making their hits count. 7 hits but 5 runs. Last night they had only 6 hits but 6 runs. 2-0. In case you're wondering about a 3-1 lead, it's often a lock. Very few teams have been able to rally from 3 games to 1 down. But the Cardinals, one franchise, knowing well from history that you can't relax, because in 1968 they had the 3-1 lead, and they were at Detroit with that lead, and the Tigers came back to win that game 5, and then went back to St. Louis and won 2, and came from behind to take the series from them. Pittsburgh did the same to Baltimore in 1979. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. 3-1 to Oberkfell. He's on with a walk. Second time Oberkfell has received the free ticket today. Up comes Keith Hernandez.
Well, I just wonder the way he is struggling. This is Robin Yount.
Michelle Yount. Now, she is expecting any day. And, of course, Robin Yount said that they have a game plan for her to get out of the stadium. She says she's not going to sit at home. If labor starts, they know how to get her to an ambulance that's waiting outside and take her to the hospital. Still could get the double play. One there, and Yount to first for the double play on Hernandez.
Hernandez cannot catch a break, Danny.
Hits the ball hard, and he's 0 for 15 in the series.
With a runner going, Whitey Herzog trying to get him a base hit to take the pressure off. Yount is covering. That side was wide open, the left side. A slide, the runner can't get Robin. Gantner made a nice play, getting that lead runner even though he was going. He said, what, maybe 3 balls hard. He hit one to Yount yesterday that Yount went his left on.
Oh, he had one today, the one to Gantner that could have been called a hit that got through Gantner, ate him up.
Whitey's let him hit 3-0, 3-1. He has tried to break up the infield. He has done everything. Just can't catch a break, as you put it so well, Tony.
I would talk about Ozzie Smith's dazzling play at shortstop, but that Milwaukee infield can turn too with anyone. Led the league, as you saw. 1-1.
You know, I like the ball players that don't hide their feelings. You know, everyone likes to be super cool, but Slayton, he said, he's just all over his face how happy he is to finally get a chance to be in a World Series at age 32. Excuse me, roller. Gantner has the easy out, and the Cardinals are gone in the top of the 7th inning. Now the Milwaukee Brewer fans, they'll be rousing things up. Stretch half of the 7th inning in Milwaukee. Coming up, it'll be Gorman Thomas, Don Money, and Charlie Moore. 5-1 St. Louis.
More tower, more power, more Brewer baseball.
Catch the Brewer action on TV 18.
Thank you, Marv Albert. We'll be anxiously awaiting yours and Dr. Freddie Pacheco's call. Whoa, what a fight that is. 2 nonstop fighters, and of course Marvin Hagler, a possible opponent down the line. That'll follow World Series Game 4. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. 5-1 St. Louis, and here's Joe Garagiola.
And it's Gorman Thomas to lead it off. He is 0 for 2. And this crowd, 56,560, a new record. Trying to get something started. It's 5-1. St. Louis leading Milwaukee.
And LaPoint will start the 7th with the bullpen going because Herzog has what he wanted out of him. 6 good innings. Anything now is gravy.
High pop foul, back towards the stands, drifting in. Porter's got to play. He makes it. And Gorman Thomas is at home plate talking to himself.
That's twice the ball appeared to be going into the stands, and the wind blew it back to Porter.
So there's one out, and here's Ogilvy. You know, the ball players in the World Series share their first 4 games, the receipts, and it has been determined the minimum. Boy, I think back 1946, we look at Doug Bear in the bullpen. We beat the Red Sox, 2 small parks, and we took home the winner's share, 2,900. The winner's share minimum here will be 27,000. There's a strike. The loser's share minimum 20,000.
That's determined by the players' pool. The first 4 games attendance is part of that players' pool. So it could be bigger than that. As I've heard one time the winner's share was 35,000 or something.
Oh, it'll be bigger. This is the minimum. They figured it all out, how they split the shares.
As I recall, Joe, our winner's share in the 58 series, we came back 3 down against the Braves, something like $5,700.
He dropped it. Let's see how they call it. Davison is not indicated.
Must be safe.
Got to be safe. He put his hands in his pocket. Watch this. It takes a bad hop.
Look at how slowly he is to get over. That follow-through falling off to the right. Ogilvy really isn't running very hard. Ogilvy didn't run hard. I don't know if that rib cage is so painful that it bothers him. There's sometimes that rib cage injury like he's got can bother you breathing. It's taped up, bobbles the ball, knocks it around. So possibility for the Brewers once again.
Low curveball, ball 1.
It didn't Hernandez do his part so well. A very bad hop, makes a good stab, a perfect throw to LaPoint. He was trying to fish for the bag and catch the ball at the same time.
A little looper. It's going to drop for a base hit. Ogilvy stops at second. Money's at first. Brewers have something going. So with 1 man out, it brings up Charlie Moore. Moore singled his last time up.
Largest winner's share, we just got the word from Tommy Valenti of the commissioner's office, just under $35,000.
Was that 1980?
1980.
Moore, 1 for 2. Right one.
Charlie Moore taking a shot to right field. Try and stay out of the double play. Maybe not to try to pull the ball here of Ozzie Smith either. Wonder if that's on somebody's mind. Taking ball down in a beautiful pitch. One that is all but impossible to hit to the other way. A right-handed hitter.
Charlie was kind of talking to himself, telling himself that ball was down, out of the strike zone. Well, hitters will do that. Talk to themselves, get all set. 1 strike pitch. Doesn't get it. 2 strikes. He's going to regroup now.
Tough slider right there. Had a lot on it. Now let's see Joe right now with 2 strikes. We raved about that changeup that tails away, that he has struck out guys. It's not the kind of pitch you think is a strikeout pitch, but he'll use it. With the seams, it may change when it goes in the glove.
You see his finger until he got it just exactly right. Surgical fingers. It's popped up. They call it an infield fly now. The umpire's waiting to see if the ball could be reasonably handled. But I'll tell you, if there's a baseball that moves in this ballpark, Ozzie Smith can reasonably handle it, whether it's in the field or in a vendor's booth.
We've talked about how deeply McGee and Lonnie Smith have played. Another possibility, because he goes back so well on balls. He was in short left center field one time in this ballgame until called up.
2 outs. Jim Gantner is the batter. Ogilvy at second base. Don Money is on at first base. 5-1 the score, bottom of the 7th. Right center field. That ball is going to drop. 1 run is in. Heading for third is Money. Heading for second is Gantner. 5-2. Base runners at second and third. So Whitey Herzog making his way out. It's a 5-2 ball game. And that means a tying run is coming to the plate.
And the speed we've talked about offensively for this Cardinal ball club came into play right there because Hendricks shut off the gap. And that saved a run from scoring, money, and also Gantner from going to third.
There's Hendrick cutting the ball off, saving it from going all the way to the fence. So we've got a break in the action. 5-2, tying run coming to the plate, and we'll be right back after these messages.
All right, Jim Gantner grounded to third, hit into a double play. The left-hand hitting second baseman swings and strokes it into right center field. That's going to fall for a base hit. In comes Ogilvie. Going to third is Money on a double by Gantner. 5-2 St. Louis.
Doug Bear is the new pitcher for the Cardinals. Charles Douglas Bear, acquired from Cincinnati. He's the middleman. Suter nails it down for him, and Bear has to hold him. And now 5-2. Molitor, the batter. Tying run is at the plate, and the crowd is alive. All one. 1-1 to count on Paul Molitor. Doug Bear in relief of Dave LaPoint.
Obergfell was moved back by Herzog, so they'll give Molitor a bunt if he wants to try to prevent the ball from going through with 2 runs and score.
2 balls and a strike to count with 2 outs.
Boy, another good stop by Porter, saved a run.
Darrell Porter in front of it, really blocking the balls nicely this afternoon. 3-1 the count. Is loaded, 2 outs, 5-2, Cardinals leading. Right field line, it is curving foul. One ball, 1 strike to count. Two balls and 1 strike with 2 outs. Here comes Hub Kittle.
Well, Bear had trouble last night. He came in, worked only 1 man, and walked him. And the first man he's faced in relief today, he walks Molitor, and he's to 2-1.
Jim Cott, Jeff Lottie. Suter is not yet up.
Base hit, right field. 1 run is in. 2 runs are in. Heading for third is Molitor. 5-4. Herzog will go to Cott. 2 balls, 1 strike. Bad pitch. Bear tried to jab him up and in. Check swing. Loops it for a single and 2 RBIs. Robin Yount. So it's 5-4. Tying runners on at third. A break in the action. We'll be back after these messages.
So with the bases loaded and 2 out, Cardinals 5, Milwaukee 2. Robin Yount, the hitter, 2-1 the count. And on deck, Cecil Cooper. And now we've got the noise that Milwaukee is famous for. They're out of a stretch. The 2-1 pitch. Yount checks his swing and hits it into right field. Base hit. In comes Money. In comes Gantner. Over to third goes Molitor. 5-4 St. Louis.
Jim Cott is the new pitcher, and much like the Milwaukee bench, the man on their mind is in the insert. That's Bruce Sutter. So it's Cott against Cooper, and in game 2 in the 5th inning, Cooper singled to left field to drive in Robin Yount. And there is Sutter from the bullpen.
He has not yet thrown a pitch, but he has begun, I think, a mental preparation. He's looking ahead. He also had a baseball where he was loosening up his shoulders. It's in his left hand now. He's rotating the ball over his head, backwards and forwards, starting the loosening procedure. Jeff Lottie continues to throw.
Whitey Herzog, as we mentioned earlier, said he will use Sutter for only 4 outs. But the amazing Mr. Jim Cott comes in again. Listen to the fans. $56,565-4, and this is the kind of a ball game that these Milwaukee fans have had all year long. Remember, they were 1 game from being eliminated by Baltimore. They came back. They were 1 game from being eliminated by California. They came back. Looked like a blowout here for a while, and here they are. Tying runners on at third. We look at Doug Bear. Cecil Cooper against Jim Cott. There are 2 outs. And these fans will tell you what's happening. Molitor at third. Yount is at first. Oh, what a surprise that would have been, but it's ball 2. Oberkfell way back at third. Brewers can do a lot of things.
All started with a LaPoint air. They would have been out of it.
High hopper. Foul ball, foul ball, foul ball.
Carter will argue it's the home plate umpire's call. It's Davey Phillips. Position of the ball, not the fielder. He leaped from within fair territory to foul. Here it is from a right field shot right down the line. It's in fair territory. He leaps from fair to foul. The position of the ball was in foul territory. Cooper's call, he'll tell you where it was. Look at Davey Phillips, very alert. Of course, the catcher's going to disagree, Porter. She did.
It's a game of inches, and so far, Milwaukee. Hot smash, knocked down, we're tied up.
Remember early in the ball game, that play was set up by Cooper, who faked a bunt one of the first times up in this game, which drew Oberkfell in with a tying run down there. Oberkfell even with a bag, and this just gets by. The little things that make a difference.
It's a base hit. Ball 1. Runners on at second base. Cooper's on at first. Early in the ball game, the inches were going against the Brewers, and now they're going for him, and we are for them, and we're tied up in quite a game, 5-5. Didn't get it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Good speed on the bases. Yount's on at second. Cooper at first. 9th man to bat in this inning.
Herzog, of course, will make Simmons hit right-handed.
A wild pitch all the way back. Runners advance.
Last 2 nights, up until this inning, things have happened to the Brewers. They are now starting to happen to the Cardinals.
That's right, that 3rd inning today, only 1 hit, and the Cardinals scored 3 times, and now it's Milwaukee's turn as Herzog strolls toward the mound.
So he's going to go already. He's had Lottie throwing a right-hander. Might mean they'll put Simmons out when he turns around to the left, and Lottie will pitch to Thomas.
Tom Seaver's point last night really comes into play, but Suter working a couple innings last night and a short turnaround, a night game to a day game, and Whitey not feeling apparently that he wants to use Suter today. He had the lead, didn't protect it with his ace.
Lottie comes in, and a base hit now would score 2 runs with the wild pitch. We'll be right back. We're all tied up at 5-5 right after these messages.
Cooper lined into a double play, had an infield single and fly to right. Got ready, side armor, ground ball off the glove of Oberkfell. Tied up ball game, stopping at second is Yount.
Jeff Lottie is the new pitcher for St. Louis. Bruce Suter in the bullpen, and these fans, 56,560, they were chanting, "We want Suter, we want Suter." But it's Lottie who came over from Cincinnati with Jose Brito for Bob Shirley.
I guess that shows how crazy some fans are. The Milwaukee fans are cheering, "We want Suter," or you think those were Cardinal fans?
Well, regardless, they were fans. If they go in the batter's box, they might think otherwise. 9th man to bat here. And we've got base runners at second and third. The wild pitch has put Yount on at third. Cooper is on at second, and Ted Simmons is the batter.
And Lottie is inheriting a 2-1 count now. The count is 2-1.
And now Simmons will switch and bat left-handed. Two outs, and they're going to put him on to load him up. It'll be up to Thomas, who started this, and listen to the reaction.
So Gorman Thomas will have a crack at a sinker ball pitcher. If it's down, Lottie's ball moves downward.
He said before the game to me, Tony, "I'm like a bomb, though I'm not hitting." Gorman Thomas, he said, "I'm still ticking, and when I go off, there'll be an explosion, and the stage is set." There are 2 outs. Bases are loaded. We're tied at 5 apiece. Gorman Thomas got all this started. He was the first man to bat. He fouled out to the catcher. And the Braves have scored 4. We're tied. Crowd will tell you what's happening. one strike to count. 2 outs, bases loaded, tied, 5-5, bottom of the 7th. Lottie against Gorman Thomas. Gorman Thomas's wife cheering him on.
Two outstanding pitches pinning that outside corner.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Porter just trying to break the mood. The picture of Lottie told you a lot. That is Debbie, Gorman Thomas's wife.
Situation not too unlike game number 2, where in the 8th with the bases loaded, Steve Braun walked the run home.
Base hit. Brewers will take the lead. 1 run in. 2 runs are in. Simmons heading for third. Thomas for second. Safe.
Oakley now, put him on, load him up one more time. Get the money. He was ahead in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Thomas. A pitch out over the plate, similar to the one that was a called strike before that. And then when McGee threw to the wrong base third, Thomas kept going to second. So Ogilvy will be intentionally passed.
Thomas, who had not been hitting, philosophical about being a time bomb ready to explode, and it's 7-5 Milwaukee, and the base is loaded again. Don Money the batter. There are 2 outs. A big 6-run inning for Milwaukee.
You talk about one play, LaPoint dropping the throw from Hernandez. The inning would have been long over, no runs scored. The 4th out, that extra out, has worked out to be 6 Milwaukee runs.
Line drive, left field. Lonnie Smith is there. Ends the inning.
Lottie will pitch out of a stretch. The infield is back, and Gorman Thomas waiting. The 1-2 pitch to Thomas, swung on and driven into left center. Base hit. In comes Yount. In comes Cooper. Going to third is Simmons. Into second goes Gorman Thomas. 7-5 Milwaukee.
Starman Garman, you bet it's a bullseye. 1 ball, 2 strikes from Jeff Lottie with the bases loaded. He serves when the left center had just 1 RBI till this point, but he hits them in streaks. He'll go a week or 2 weeks without any home runs, any RBIs. In fact, he spotted the American League 10 home runs in April, didn't have one. All of a sudden, they came in bunches, and he and Reggie tied with 39. Big base hit. There's a man, Joe. Can he or can't he?
That's been the big question. Can Fingers come in the pitch? Harvey Keene says if I need him. Fingers says I'm limited. Some people think, Tom Seaver talking about it, that maybe it's just a whole big charade. He has not thrown.
And he has not pitched in a ball game since September 2nd. We have been told he will start throwing and then see if there's any pain or not. We'll follow it for you.
Ball 1 to Porter. It's been quite a ball game. These Milwaukee Brewers, 6 runs in the 7th. There's a strike.
There he is, Roland Fingers, in 3 previous World Series with the Oakland A's. 19 games, Fingers pitched in 16 of them, but not yet in 1982.
In right field, they're really reacting to it in the bleachers when they see Fingers get up. A tribute to the right-hander.
Oh, will they go crazy if he comes into this game? The fans all over this park.
1-2 pitch. Outside, 2-2. What a ball game. We've had everything, including the sacrifice fly by Tommy Herr that scored 2 men. That's the first time in World Series history that's ever happened. 2 men scoring a sacrifice fly. A 6-run bottom of the 7th. 3-2 the count now on Darrell Porter.
And Joe, because the bullpens are such an unusual spot out in right center field, most of the fans cannot see Fingers like our viewers did at home, that he is up and throwing. Just that small group who cheered in the bleachers.
Slayton walks Porter in the 8th inning, and that brings up Lonnie Smith.
There's another factor developing, and you see it in that shot, the shadows. As the day wears on, more and more the pitcher will be in the shadows, but hitting into a bright backdrop, and that really bothered the hitters in the weekend series last week, the Angels and the Brewers.
You can see it in that picture right there, how dark the uniform, face, and everything else were, and the background was so bright.
Lonnie Smith, he doubled and scored in the 6th. There's a strike. He lined with the pitcher in the 3rd and hit for a force play in the 1st. 1 ball, 1 strike. Base runner at first is Porter. Nobody out. Milwaukee leading by 2. 7-5. We're in the 8th inning. Good curveball. Check swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Fingers and Peter Ladd. Fingers, of course, he's not even pitching off the mound. I wonder if that's significant.
Doesn't look very serious, but Ladd does.
He's out on strikes.
Ted Simmons set him up beautifully. A hard curve or slide to the pitch before. Set up outside on the corner. And it was so close. Not too unlike the pitch that he took in ball 4 in the 1 game.
Simmons gives a good low target, moves around, and he's been a tremendous help to these Milwaukee pitchers. Line drive, base hit, center field. Porter's rounding 2nd, heading for 3rd. It's 1st and 3rd. And the batter is Willie McGee. Orge singles to center field.
And Gorman Thomas very smartly, not even trying to overcharge the ball to keep the runner from going to 3rd, saying, the key run, the tying run is Orge. I'm holding you to first base, and there will be a pinch runner now. David Green will pinch run for Orge.
Boy, that Orge in the lineup because he swings a good bat. He had 2 base hits, a single, a double, and a line drive out, 2 for 4.
And here comes Harvey Keene. He may be making a pitching change. As you saw, Peter Ladd was going very hard. And usually the signal to the guys ready in the bullpen is to take the cap off. We saw that, so it looks like it may be a change.
Calling for McClure, the left-hander. Now, Raleigh Fingers will get his own mound. Ladd continues to throw. Force McGee to hit from the right side. Ozzie Smith also.
What it hinges on such little things. So we've got another pitching change. Harvey Keene bringing in McClure. Tying runs are on. 7-5 the score. Brewers in front. We'll be back after these messages. Bob McClure is the new pitcher for Milwaukee. Tom Seaver has been with us. And Tom, you have an observation.
Well, one of the things that's happened in the last inning, Joe, which I don't think a lot of people realize, when Doug Bear came in relief in the game and was followed by Jim Cott, the entire pitching staff were not charged with any earned runs. 6 runs in the inning, but no earned runs. But Doug Bear and Jim Cott personally were charged with earned runs because when they came into the game, they allowed base runners, and those base runners scored without the aid of a run. So it's a very unusual situation that will come up once or twice a year, where a staff is not charged with any runs, yet individuals within that pitching staff in that inning are charged with runs. It's a rules change that the Baseball Writers Association Rules Committee made about 5 years ago, and as I say, a case that will happen maybe just once or twice a season.
So to follow up on that, LaPoint actually allowed 4 runs, but only 1 was earned, where Bear, 2 runs, both earned, and Cott, 1 run was earned.
The big man looks like he may be getting ready.
What happens, Joe, bringing McClure, and we talked about forcing McGee now to switch hitter to go to the right side, but also David Green, even 2 runs down against a right-handed pitcher, I would think Whitey Herzog would have let him steal if he could read it. Now with McClure's great move, probably the best in the American League, it holds David Green closer at first. That is the tying run.
I was watching Hal Lanier, the first base coach, and he had about a 30-minute talk, it looked like. The whole time McClure was warming up, that's what he was talking to Green about. It's a strike. Willie McGee against Bob McClure. There's 1 out. Tying runs are on. The lob throw. That's a commercial. Letting him know I'll be back after I make this pitch. He's got a good move. Porter's at third. Green, the pinch runner, is at first. 1 out. Tell you, he's got Green leaning even when he just flips the ball over there.
What happens, too, by holding him that close, any ground ball, you won't get the good jump to try and break that double play up.
A little ground ball could be 2 from McGee. There's 1 to throw. They got it.
Gantner showed you his acrobats. That little glance right there by McClure. And the follow through, McGee fooled on the low inside slider, but the little glance and the lay kick froze Green on the slow hit ball with his great speed because of the move of McClure. He could not get down and stop the double play.
Great play by Gantner. So we go in the bottom of the 8th, 7-5. Milwaukee leading St. Louis.
Baseball fever. Catch it. It lasts forever.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Oh, over 56,000. There you see us, Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek, Dick Enberg, Tom Seaver in the next booth as we are watching quite a ball game here. 7-5. The Milwaukee Brewers leading the St. Louis Cardinals. You can tell the native Wisconsin guy with his shirt sleeves.
Trying to cool down now that we're in the shade.
There's a strike to Charlie Moore. Ballpark buzzing. Lottie to Hernandez, and Moore's an easy out. 1 out.
Joe and Tony, it's been a most pleasurable experience this World Series, and one of the reasons why, terrific people down in the truck. Our coordinating producer throughout the course of this 1982 season in baseball, Michael Weissman. Today's telecast produced by George Finkel, directed by Harry Coyle. Michael Weissman also co-producing today. Some of the other folks that I'd like to mention: John Gonzalez, Lenny Stucker, Andy Rosenberg, Dave Hoffman, John Libretto, Joe Michaels, Len Adamo, Antoinette Machiaverna on the pregame show.
All the cameramen that we can't name because there's just so many of them, but you're all doing a great job, guys. Outside.
Tomorrow, 3:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time, right back here, Bob Forsch versus Mike Caldwell. And game 6 or 7 are necessary still. No pitchers announced.
3-1 the count on Gantner. Line drive right at Ozzie Smith. Ball was hit hard, but right at him. So there are 2 outs, and it brings up Paul Molitor.
If you had to go back and try and analyze this ball game with what happened to the Brewers early in the game with the errors, wild pitches, everything that happened, and it just turned around from that 7th inning on, where everything happened in 1 inning to the Cardinals, it seemed like. A lot of questions to be asked in the post-game press conference. But this is what you've pointed out so many times, Joe, just like it seems like an inch here, an inch there. It becomes a cliche in baseball, but it's been that way today.
Outside. Well, I think Harvey Keene took the cliche and made some sense with it. It's not just a game of inches. It's who ends up with the inches on the right side. And Milwaukee was on the short end early and got some breaks, and we've got quite a ball game. 1-1 the count.
You look back to that 7th. Robin Yount, 2-1, starts going after something, checks his swing, and the little loop to the right.
Out of play. This is the kind of a ball game that maybe you wouldn't film it and use it for instructions, but it's the kind of a ball game you sure want to see because it's been exciting. High fly ball, left field. Lonnie Smith. Hey, misjudged it. And now we go into the 9th inning at the end of 8. It's Milwaukee 7, St. Louis 5. And 2 up. It'll be Ozzie Smith, Tommy Herr, and Kent Oberfeld.
Here at Atlantic City, New Jersey, Marv Albert with the fight doctor, Rudy Pacheco, a packed house awaiting what should be wall-to-wall action. Frank the Animal Fletcher going against James Hard Rock Green in a scheduled 12-rounder. Fletcher looking to a future middleweight title shot against the champion, Marvin Hagler. Green looking to continue his string of upsets. It will be search and destroy right throughout. And we'll be bringing it all to you right now. Back to Joe Garagiola.
Okay, Marv Albert, it will be an afternoon of excitement. We've had it here all afternoon, and I know when we go to Atlantic City with Marv Albert and Dr. Freddie Pacheco for the fights, it'll be the same thing. Right here, Ozzie Smith leads it off, and this crowd is ready. 56,560.
Are they ever ready? They haven't cheered a World Series win in Milwaukee since 1958.
All one. 7 runs, 10 hits, 2 errors for Milwaukee. 5-8-1 for St. Louis. Should be the first out.
I'm picking Gorman Thomas for that base hit, 1 ball, 2 strikes, drove home 2, left center. Okay. Well, we put you in the spot, Dick. We'll let you think about it a couple more minutes.
Don't have that time. Give it to me now.
How about another minute?
1 out. Tommy Herr. McClure against Herr. All on. Time's up, Dick.
They still couldn't have won it if Thomas hadn't knocked in the base hit. I got to go with him. He actually got the game winner.
There's Riley Fingers. If it stands up this score, Gorman Thomas will get the game-winning RBI.
2 balls, no strikes.
That's a tough call.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it made possible. On LaPoint, he pitched very well. Got Whitey the 6th that he wanted out of him. Could have been out of the inning of the 7th. Air.
Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out, nobody on. 7-5. We're in the top of the 9th. Milwaukee leading. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Boy, good use by Keene of the left-hander McClure to come in. He's turned those 2 switch hitters, Smith and Herr, around. They don't hit as well from the right side.
Listen to the crowd. Today's NBC Miller High Life Outstanding Player of the Game is that man standing right there, Gorman Thomas, as Gene Tennis comes on as a pinch hitter. Miller High Life happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Thomas at the Special Olympics. Tennis, a pinch hitter for Obergefell. Crowd will tell you it's 7-5, Milwaukee leading. Ball one. Nobody on, 2 men out.
Now, things can turn around in the World Series because McClure came in game number 2. He walked Hernandez leading off the 8th. That set up the run that really won that ball game 5-4. He's got a chance to redeem himself.
Tomorrow will be Caldwell against Forsch at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Foul ball out of play. And right now, 3:30 Central Time, this ballpark is ready to explode. 56,560 people. With 2 outs, nobody on, 1 ball, 1 strike to count, Tennis the batter. George Hendrick. It's been a long time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Game 4 of the 1982 World Series has been brought to you by Gillette, makers of good news, the disposable razor with micro smooth twin blades, and by Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. Again, the final score, Milwaukee with a 6-run, bottom of the 7th, Milwaukee 7, St. Louis 5 for Dick Enberg, Tony Kubek, Joe Garagiola saying so long. And remember tomorrow, Game 5, the World Series starting 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Next up, it's Sports World. We'll be going to Atlantic City. 12-round USBA middleweight championship fight between Frank the Animal Fletcher, James Hard Rock Green, and more, all coming up right here on NBC Sports. Stay with us. Milwaukee wins it 7-5.
And they are close to being delirious at County Stadium. Tennis pumping the wood back and forth. McClure out of a stretch. The 1-2 pitch. Curveball got him swinging.